We are here in the pregame show of our doubleheader tonight here on CISN from Ankeny Stadium, getting ready to talk Linn-Mar football. Chad Tompkins is the co-head coach of the Linn-Mar Lions. Coach, this is the squad, and I told your other co-head coach, this is what we've been watching you guys all year, and those scores have been fun, and now we get to see it up front. What has been the hallmark of Linn-Mar football for you this year?
It kind of thrown into the fire a little bit to begin with kind of the coaching situation, but I feel like the kids adapted really well with it, and the coaching staff bringing so many of them back was kind of a big thing for us as we've gone through. But for us, it was a lot of consistency. Ben obviously had been working with the offense for the last couple of years, and I've been as the defensive coordinator, so we thought it was important for the kids to be consistent in those aspects as we go. So for the kids, they didn't have to learn a new staff. They didn't have to learn new plays. They didn't have to do any of that stuff. So we were able to kind of pick up in the summer with where we left off last fall, and they've done a good job with that. Obviously for us, on the offensive side, it starts with our offensive line up front. They do a great job, whether it's Dylan Mazinski or Hud Turner or Alex Thurm back there running the ball. Those five that are up front, six with the tight end, have been doing a really nice job with that. And creating some spots. We've had some receivers step up, play a big role with that. Austin Waller's had a really nice year for us. And then defensively, we've kind of been locked in for the most part. We've had our ups and downs a little bit, but for the most part, the kids have bought in, done a really nice job with that. And more than anything else, just kind of playing for each other each time they go out there. So.
As a defensive guy, are you glad you don't have to scheme against 22?
It's definitely a nice thing. I've talked a couple times as we prep for kids or prep for upcoming teams, and I'm like, hey, this is going to be probably the second best back that you faced this year, and they kind of give me a little bit of a look, and I'm like, well, I'm assuming the best back you're going to face is the one you have to face every day in practice. So, yeah, it's nice to not have to scheme against him every day, but that is one of the nice things. Coach Martins and I, we kind of talk a little bit. How would you attack us offensively? How would you attack us defensively? So, so that's been nice too, to kind of play off of one another as we go through.
Self-scout is important to understand, where blind spots show up, and that is something. And Drew's actions, I mean, in just the limited film that I've seen, the speed is, I won't say deceptive, because the speed's for real. How else do you describe him?
For Dylan, he's just so shifty. I mean, sometimes you feel like he's really going to get squared up and take a big hit, but he just never does. It seems like sometimes he's playing on two different planes. His feet are on one side, his upper body's on the other, and he just kind of keeps moving as he goes through. So it's been really fun to watch him. I joked around the other day. I said I probably watch less of our offense than anybody else because I'm normally on the sidelines making adjustments, but from what I've gotten to see, he's been really exciting to watch.
Well, and I'm sorry, I did call him Drew. I did mean Dylan. Thank you for being subtle on that. Call me out for my prep. But let's talk about Austin Waller. I mean, injury last year, comes back this year, back in that quarterback position. And with Stone Morgan then, who played quarterback, now as wide receiver, Coach Martin said Stone gets really tough to tackle as well. So you got another guy that's really hard, kind of plays angry. And so you got the thunder and lightning approach right there.
Absolutely. Stone did a nice job when Waller came back and was healthy and good to go. He knew that he could contribute in other ways, and so obviously as a quarterback, he knew all the receiver routes. His hands are outstanding. Like even tonight out there in not less than ideal weather with the wind and everything else. I mean, the ball hits his hands and they just kind of stick. And so he's been a nice compliment. Obviously, we've got Landon Sorg out there as well, but it's nice for Waller to have those guys to be able to throw to. And at the same time, I mean, Stone's ready to step in. I know a game earlier this year, Waller had to come out. He kind of got dinged, and the officials stopped him for it. And Stone steps in, and he knows exactly the game plan and steps right back in and not really missing a beat with that. So that's been a nice compliment to have.
What stood out to you about Ankeny that you have to try and defend?
They're obviously big up front. Offensive line is very, very good. And then they start taking a couple of those kids and moving them back to kind of an offset back a little bit, and really they're playing up front with 6 offensive linemen. Um, their back, all of their backs, they run with their feet over or head over their feet a little bit. They're always falling forward. You watch them on film, and a bad gain for them is 3 or 4 yards. And you run the ball 3 times doing that, you're going to get a first down almost every single time. So, and then obviously you've got some athleticism, can steal people out on the perimeter a little bit. Quarterback that can sling it. I mean, they're a well-coached team. They've got a lot of different ways that they can beat you, and that's the challenge at this point. Like we talked about with players tonight, there's 16 teams left, and none of them are bad. So
Right.
You're gonna have to bring it every night. You're gonna have to be ready to go, and they bring a big challenge for us.
The one thing that's interesting about this matchup, both this one and our first game, is that you've got a lot of common opponents, and so you can kind of see, oh well, this is how they did it with Prairie or West, and that hasn't happened in years past. And so, is that good or bad?
I think it's always good. I mean, a little bit to kind of see some teams that we're familiar with on how they attacked them both offensively and defensively a little bit. We didn't cross paths this year with Iowa City West or Prairie, so it's hard to do the whole, well, they beat this team and they beat this team and blah, blah, blah. But it is nice. I mean, with teams that we're more familiar with, kind of from the MVC realm of that, to see how they attack as opposed to we don't always get to see those CIML teams quite as much. Obviously, with district football, we have a little bit more, but we're a little bit more familiar having played Southeast Polk the last couple of years. I mean, obviously, watching film on them, we watch Ankeny's offense and defense, and so it's not brand new to us, but it is nice to see kind of a different opponent and get ready to go for that.
I think a lot of opponents have had to study Southeast Polk because they've played a lot of people in the last few years on their runs.
Yes, they have.
Real quick, what else do you see as a key for your team tonight?
Again, defensively, we've got to be able to do what we do and try to control Ankeny as they go through that. Offensively, I know their defense is going to cause us some problems. They're very, very aggressive, especially with the back 8 that they've got going. And so kind of a ball control game would be a good thing for us. I always joke around with Coach Martins, it's a little bit easier for us to play defense when we're on the sidelines and the offense has the ball. So as much as we can do that, but otherwise, I mean, I think it's going to be 2 evenly matched teams and very physical up front, with some skilled people behind that can make some plays. And so I think it's going to be a really exciting game.
All right, Chad Tompkins, co-head coach of Linn-Mar. Thank you so much, Coach. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, this is our pregame show here. It continues on the Central Iowa Sports Network.